stormy night many years ago. An elderly couple entered the lobby of a small hotel. They asked for a room. The clerk told them that they were all full up and every hotel room in the town was also full. The clerk said, "But I can't send you out into the rainy night." So he told them, "Would you be willing to take my room for the night?" And they kind of hesitated, but the clerk insisted. Well, the next morning when the older couple went to pay for the room, the old man said, "You're the kind of man that should be managing the best hotel in the United States. Someday I'll build you one." And the clerk thought, well, that was a nice compliment, and that's all it'll be. Well, a few years later, that desk clerk received a letter in the mail from the elderly man, recalling that stormy night and what the desk clerk had done for him. He asked the desk clerk to come to New York, and included in that letter was a round-trip ticket for him. Well, when the clerk arrived in New York, his host took him to the corner of 5th Avenue and 34th Street, where stood a magnificent new building. "That," explained the man, "is the hotel I have built for you to manage." The man was William Waldorf Astor, and the hotel was the original Waldorf Astoria. The young clerk, George Boldt, became its first manager. True story. The clerk did his job well, and he was rewarded for taking care of his customers. How many of you heard as you were growing up, any job worth doing is worth doing right or well? It's a concept that teaches us, don't waste your time by slopping through it. Do a good job the first time, and you'll be proud of what you did. People will notice that you've done a good job, that you do quality work. And you will have the satisfaction of knowing you've done the best you can. Jesus teaches us a similar lesson in Matthew 25. This chapter is in a section of Matthew's Gospel where Jesus is telling his disciples about the end times, that he's going to come back again, Judgment Day. The whole theme of the section is be ready. Be ready at any time. The particular lesson for our Gospel this morning is the parable of the talents. Now, you think of a talent, you think of what? An ability. Somebody has a musical talent, somebody has ability for carpentry work, somebody has a mechanical ability, somebody has an ability for numbers. Excuse me. But that's nowhere close to what the original was about. A talent was a unit of measure. Okay? And it was a large unit for a heavy item. They use a talent as how to measure out like gold and silver and bronze and iron. They said the approximate weight was probably about 75 pounds. Now, that means that when this guy in the parable entrusted to his servants his wealth, it was probably a 75-pound bag of gold. How many would like to find a bag of gold like that on your doorstep? So even the dude that had one talent was not poor. Okay? But the first guy received 5 bags of gold. And what did he do with it? Remember what he did?
Made 5 more.
He immediately went out and made 5 more. Kind of neat how Matthew put it. He ran out. He was eager. He couldn't wait to do something with it. He had a zeal for doing something with that master's gold. And he went out right away and made 5 more bags of gold from it. The second guy had 2 bags. And what did he do? He earned 2 more. It doesn't say he had quite the zeal, but he did go out and get double the investment. And what did the third guy do? Before you get too hard on him, there was a custom of the day that if you had something that you wanted to keep safe and secure, you'd go out in the middle of the night, dig up a spot in your backyard, bury it, cover it up so nobody knows you did that, and that was a safe way of keeping things. In fact, there is a rabbinical rule, one of wrote that said if anybody buries money in a hidden location, he can't be accountable for its loss. Okay? So it was a safe way to keep a treasure, especially one entrusted to you by someone else. It sounds kind of dumb to us, but it was a smart thing he thought to do. What did he earn on that bag of gold? Absolutely nothing, because he buried it. You get nothing on your investment that way. Well, it says that after a long period of time, the master came back. And he called each of those 3 servants to give an account of what they had done with it. Well, the first man said, "Master, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have 5 more for you." Total of 10 75-pound bags of gold. That's pretty impressive. And the master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." The second guy, who had 2, made 2 more. "Look, master, what I did." He got the same commendation. "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." But the third guy, "Master," he said, "I know you're a hard man." Notice how he said, "You harvest where you've not sown, you gathered where you haven't scattered seed." In other words, he reaps a harvest that he didn't work for. He expects a return when other people are handling his stuff. And this black guy is saying, "I knew you were going to be like that, so I was afraid, and I went out and hid your gold in the field. Here's your money back." He didn't get a commendation. Remember what he said? "You wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. Well then, you should have put my money on deposit at least with the banker, so you would have earned some interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. And it ends up saying that he was going to be cast out into the darkness where there would be weeping and gnashing of teeth. That's not a pretty picture. Okay. This whole story is not about money, though. The greatest treasure that he gives us, as we talk with the kids, is the gift of faith. That's the treasure that God has given to us when he sent his Son, Jesus Christ, who made an investment in us when he suffered and died on that cross, investing his very lifeblood to save us. Is there any greater treasure than that? Now, you can have all the money in the world, all the wealth, all the stuff and all the things in the world, but if you don't have faith, what good will it do you on the last day? Absolutely nothing. But if you've got faith in Jesus Christ, you've got the most valuable treasure, don't you? That will open the door of heaven for you. That's what this talent parable is about. That God has invested the lifeblood of his Son, Jesus Christ, just for you. And what are you going to do with that investment God has placed in you? Are you going to invest it in others? How do you do that? Well, when you talk to somebody about Jesus, that's a pretty big deal. Not everybody feels comfortable in doing that, but you know, every time you encourage someone, you're sharing that encouragement of Jesus Christ. When you go through Walmart and check out, or Myers, whatever store you shop at, and that clerk is telling you that, you know, boy, I've had a rotten day and this has happened and that's happened, can you invest in them? Absolutely. Simply say, "I'll be praying for you." Know that God hears you. You've invested in them. You know these little yellow cards we have? Some of you have learned to pass them out. They're invitation cards to come to Prince of Peace. Somebody says, "I'm looking for a church home." Well, whip one of those babies out and pass it on. You just invested in somebody else. Whatever way you can show the love of Jesus Christ to somebody else, you are investing what God has given to you, to others. That's the return on the investment that Jesus wants. He wants us to be investing in others with that love of Jesus so that more will come to him. Okay, Some got 5, some got 2, but what about that one dude that got 1 bag? He wasn't poor with that 1 bag. But he was poor because, what did he do with that? He buried it. It's kind of like people that have heard about the faith, but I don't have time for it right now. I'm not really into that right now. I'll go bury it for a while, and when I need it, I'll dig it back up. But what happens if Jesus comes back when you've got it buried in the backyard?
You're buried.
You're buried. You got it. Because it won't do your heart any good if it's buried out there some way for safekeeping. You've got to have that gift that Jesus has given you alive in your heart all the time. And ready to share it with others. See, the parable's not about money. The parable's about the gift of faith that He's given you. The investment that God's made in you through Jesus Christ. And what are you doing with Jesus? Is He making a difference in how you live and how you treat others? Are you investing His love and grace in other people? If you do, someday you'll hear Him say, "Well done, good and faithful servants." You've been entrusted with a little bit on this side of heaven. Come on in. Take care of a lot of other things in heaven. Come and enjoy your Master's happiness. And what's He talking about? Come on into heaven, my good and faithful servant. What's going to happen to those who have heard it and buried it? They aren't going to be welcomed in. That's the weeping and gnashing of teeth, and that's the bad sign of Judgment Day. If they don't know Jesus, they won't get the words, "Well done, good and faithful servants." What's it mean for us? Keep that faith alive today, folks. Don't hide it somewhere. Share it with other people. Let that investment God's put in you be passed on and invested in others. Share your faith. Stay alive with Jesus Christ. Stay awake, because He's coming any time. And when He comes, will He find that faith alive? If He does, He'll say to you, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Come on home." Amen. May the peace of God that goes far beyond what we can. Keep your hearts and minds alive in Jesus Christ. Always alive with that. Knowing He's invested in you for a purpose. So you can share that peace with others. Amen.